And another big story in the past week at Disney Parks, specifically at Epcot, was the unveiling of the Communicore Hall and the Communicore Plaza complex. That was something that I think took a lot of people by surprise, as this was the last leg of Epcot's reimagination. And we all know what we were promised, right? We know that there was, well, something much grander that was supposed to be in that space. And unfortunately, we didn't get that. Through a round of budget cuts and through a round of, well, let's just say various setbacks due to not just COVID-19, but other things. You see there what we were supposed to get. A very spectacular festival center that was multi-level and looked to have a lot of magic on top of it. And can I just say in this concept art, if you look in the background, is that a fountain I see that we were supposed to get? Is that a fountain back there?
That is a fountain.
Sure looks like it.
That is a fountainous fountain.
Unless there was like a pipe breaking. I don't know.
In the concept art. Wow. Well, we all know what we were supposed to get. And what we ended up with, well, was this hall. So there's that.
So grand.
This is part of a bigger complex, of course. Now, there is another side to this building. That other side happens to be where you can meet Mickey and friends. It's a character meet and greet area. Now, that, I guess, is by comparison something that existed before, sort of in that area. So we're not necessarily losing anything in that regard. There's also on the front end of that building a window where you can get festival eats or eats from around Epcot that they have specialized there at that festival center. And then there is a stage. That stage right outside of that hall that you just saw is meant to be, I guess, the new festival center area where they have various entertainment acts and then kind of an open green space on top of it. But I wanted to reference what the vice president of Epcot said about this sort of crown moment of it's all over, right? The Epcot transformation has come to a close with Communicore Hall being open. She had this to say. She said, back when we were, to borrow a phrase from Spaceship Earth, inventing the future of Epcot, we knew we needed something in the center of the park that could be many things. A place for guests to relax, a dynamic space to anchor our Epcot festivals, and everything in between. That new space, is Communicore Hall. If you can dream it, Communicore Hall can do it. The future of this gathering and event space is limited only by the boundaries of imagination. We're all about the magic of possibilities here at Epcot, and our imaginations are pretty spectacular. Communicore Hall will invite guests inside and bring the center of the park to life seasonally as an ever-changing hall to highlight art, live music, food, and more. Close quote. Tyler, after nearly half a decade, the reimagining of Epcot has come to an end. Your thoughts on the fruits of that labor?
Well, I feel like they did a good job overall. But for 5 years, for almost 5 years, that's a little wild. To me, how long that took. Basically, we got a nice little park type area in the center of the entrance of Epcot there, which I think is beautiful. I like it. It's very calming. It's a pleasant place to be. I think it's as long as it's not as long you have to forget you're in Florida though when you want to relax there. but I think it's nice. I just think for how long it took, it just feels so lacking, I guess, for in that when I look at it from that angle. And I know a lot of people are hating on Communicore, and I feel like I'm kind of the one person who's I kind of get it. I think as long as they take advantage of what they say they're going to, if you look in the ceiling there, you can see all the moving headlights and you can see that they're prepared to make this space do something. I think the weirdest thing is that they unveiled it with nothing in it.
Right.
Yeah. It's a blank canvas right now.
And I think that's what everybody is kind of forgetting. Everybody's hating on it for it being so plain and looking like an airport or something like that. But at the end of the day, that was the idea, was to make it plain so that they could eventually put things in there with the different festivals, much like that quote said. So I think the quote's kind of funny when you look at that empty room like that. But I think it's going to end up being something kind of cool. And I see so many families going through Journey of Water, and even I have a great time in there. And the little kids are smiling, and we went in there at night, and it was like a beautiful experience. And they even have this little Encanto festival going on. And I heard one day it rained, and they brought it inside to Communicore, and they used the lights and the sounds.
Whoa!
I just think that, like, listen, it's a flex space. That's what they built. They took away our beautiful table with the trees on top. They took it away from us, and I'm still sad about that. And I still don't get it, because I feel like they could have made money by selling dessert parties there, or they could have had remember when they used to do like the Taste of the Festivals kind of? They haven't done it since before COVID, but the Taste of the Senses, and you would go there and it would be like a flat fee, and they would like bring you, nice portions of the festival food, and you could have some drinks, and like that would have been the perfect place to do that. Now, Communicore doesn't seem so perfect.
Communicore, am I right?
Got him! Love it.
Well, Katrina, it's limited only by the boundaries of imagination. We've learned this.
Yep.
Yeah. According to the vice president of Epcot, it is a place that will come to life. Don't expect things now when we first open it.
Yeah.
Later.
Yeah.
Later, we'll impress you.
We gotta make money first, and then we'll do it.
The reason why it's just a hall now is because we're having a money issue. Okay. So, let's make some back. We'll put some stuff in it.
Yeah.
You'll be proud. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I guess I have a question too. Like, do you think like if they do want to change it over and they have ideas for different art installations they want to put in there or whatever, like, do you think they're going to close it for like a week or two, or
yeah, I could see that.
I don't know. Listen, it's a blank canvas. It's weird to unveil a blank canvas. I think that's the part.
Think about the endless possibilities. Use your imagination.
I'm
think
willing,
of Figment.
Yeah, I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt.
I will say this. I noticed when the reveal of it happened for the media, it looked awesome. Did you see what it looked like when there are images of what they presented to the media as, look at this hall, and they were essentially celebrating all of the different changes that they've made to the park, and the different areas. Like, they had each wall sort of themed to each place now in Epcot. It looked great. And then they took that all away when they turned it over to the public.
Yeah.
As if that wasn't going to be worth seeing or something. I thought it was so strange, but I think more than anything, ending with this rather than ending with something like really spectacular or really cool,
right,
to be showing people the wow factor in what Disney can do, to end with an empty hall and some fake AstroTurf, right?
Yeah.
Some AstroTurf and a stage.
That's gonna get toasty in the sun.
It already was. I felt it myself. It kind of ended with a thud, but out of everything, so it has been a very long time, right? It has been up to almost 5 years. Out of everything the reimagining of Epcot has brought us, Katrina, is there one new experience or option they added that would make you go out of your way to visit Epcot now?
Well, no. Not really. I don't really think. I mean, I go. I don't know about you, but I go because of World Showcase. That's what makes me. And then Living with the Land, obviously. But other than that, I'm not gonna go oh my god, I gotta go see AstroTurf, and I gotta see this blank room, and I have to go see Encanto or something like that. I love Encanto, but I mean, they're gonna always keep changing it. It's not gonna be there forever, and there may be some shows and whatnot, but that's kind of in passing. If I'm there, then I'll go do it. Maybe if they have some type of event inside of Communicore or something like that, then maybe I'll go out of my way to do it because we paid for it. But other than that, I'm not gonna be oh my god, I gotta get a picture with Walt's statue sitting down.
I think of Communicore like a second Odyssey. We've got the Odyssey building on the other side over by Mexico. Sure. And Communicore is just Odyssey 2.0.
We'll go for the food.
It's really what it is.
We'll go for the food.
I think at the end of the day, though, when you really boil it down, they ended up cutting so many things from this Epcot transformation that I think that's why it feels like such a letdown to so many people, because they had all these huge promises, and now we have Journey of Water and Communicore and the nice little park
Yeah.
And
these are things for passing by,
that,
not
you know, I mean,
going.
yeah.
Well, let's not forget, too, that Guardians of the Galaxy is a part of this, even though it's
Is it?
retrofitting a space that was already there. So I always feel like when you move something into a space that already existed, you're not really growing. You know, you're just occupying
you're just taking up the space and
that
changing
was there.
it.
However, Remy's Ratatouille Adventure, that's a nice plus. In addition to, you know, I guess this expansion is that, you know, France got bigger, which is nice. I always like World Showcase pavilions growing. And I think also offering a ride option just in general, yeah, more capacity, more ride experience at a place like Epcot is so helpful, especially for kids. You know, you think about Epcot, if you're under a certain age, that can be a pretty hard park for certain age groups.
Yeah.
To
It
really
was when I
enjoy.
was young, yeah.
Yeah, it's more educational. Like I find so much value in it now as an adult, but I think back, you know, it's like, man, if I went there when I was 10, I don't think I would. I think I'd be mad most
Yeah.
of the day.
Yeah.
I think I'd be frustrated most of the day. So I like the fact that over the course of time, they've added more things for kids to do specifically, which is great. But yeah, to end with sort of this thud, you know, I saw it myself in person as they opened it up, and I kept looking around thinking, am I missing something here? Like, was there... What are we doing? You know, like,
Yeah.
what is this? And I walked through to the other side, and I thought, what? Why did this part take the longest out of everything? Like, why? Like, this is a box. You know, they built a box. You know, and there's some killer AC.
Okay.
That's the best part of it, was the air conditioning. But yeah, a little disappointing to say the least that Epcot kind of ended its transformation on this note.
It's
of all
disappointing.
things.
I can see that room being used for like during Food and Wine for tasting events and all these other things, and they can just redo it. It's just like a banquet hall, you know, it's just a blank canvas, and then they'll just slowly add stuff in. That's like a waste of money in a way. But I mean, okay, fine, that's great. But what we could have had was this such a cool area. I would have went out of my way for this, you know, because we probably would have done like a dessert party if they did a dessert party up on the top level.
Yeah.
Going to see and just like hanging out on the top level where it's like open air with plants and stuff, which is kind of weird to think about and kind of cool. Like I would go up there and just like kind of hang out because they probably would have different kind of food options up there too. So
Looked like something out of Singapore, you know. It
Yeah.
looked like a rooftop
Sure.
garden forest, you know,
Yeah.
sort of thing. And
Imagine the cool view you would have had of the whole showcase. I mean,
man.
it would have been amazing. It really would have been. So it is a letdown when you think about it in that way. you
And to
know.
not have a fountain at all anywhere throughout that.
This is
whole-
Florida.
I know.
there's fountains everywhere.
Donald gets it. To not have that feature anywhere. Now I get it. We added a whole journey of water, right? I get it. We added a whole attraction
That's not
based
like
on water.
focal point, you know.
It feels like it's missing. You know, there's
The
now
movement.
multiple levels of gardens that lead up to that Walt
Yeah.
statue on one end, and it feels like there is a whole section of that where they take pictures because it's far back enough that you can get Spaceship Earth behind you. But there's a whole section of that where it's just sort of shrubbery.
Yeah.
And it feels like, well, what a waste of space this. You know, there should be something really commanding here.
Well, technically, there is kind of like a new fountain, right, at the beginning of Epcot when you walk in. But it's not really
right.
a fountain, but that maybe took its place.
On the front
and
end,
now
yeah.
it's like stained with gross, I don't know. It's not algae, but it's like water stains. So it didn't turn out very
That
well.
fountain's always been there, though. They just put
Florida
they
crusties.
just put the
little monoliths.
glass pillars in
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
You know.
Yeah, to not have something on that back end, especially when you had the Fountain of Nations that was so grand.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not romanticizing the past at all. I'm thinking back, you know, I always weigh everything. When we get something new, it's always, to me, are we better now than we were then? And I look at what has happened now, and I think, well, based on how things were in the final years of Interventions East and West, yeah, we're a lot better off, because Interventions East and West was basically shell of buildings with nothing in them. And it was dark, and it was pointless, and
it was
there was
stinky.
Smelled like soda.
it was bad.
Yeah, it
was
disgusting,
really bad in
actually.
the end.
Yeah.
You know, so now it's like, well, at least everything's new. You know,
Sure.
at least everything's, you know,
For now.
sparkling, and yeah, it feels good. And there's stuff to do, you know, versus what that ended up being. Now, Interventions, the OG Interventions, you know, we'll take it back to the late 90s. You look at what Interventions set out to be at Epcot and what it was at one time. That was spectacular and puts this to shame, puts everything that has happened now to shame. So I look at how far we've come. Now, if we're rating it against the end of Innoventions in that era, yes, this is better. But if we're rating it against what was there prior, I'm going to say this is not nearly as cool as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of disappointed.
I think the marketing is really, I mean, well, obviously this is kind of a stupid thing to say maybe, but the marketing is responsible for the disappointment, because they just came out and said, this world is changing. Epcot's going to be completely different. And it's like, no, I mean, you just spent 5 years putting some plants in, and we didn't get Play Pavilion, we didn't get Mary Poppins. You know, we didn't get the amazing table that I could be standing on with a beautiful view.
Right.
Yeah. I'm kind of glad they didn't go with Mary Poppins, because like when they showed us like the concept art, I was like, oof, no.
Just a spinner. Yeah,
please reconsider. Just figure something else out, because that looked like poop.
She deserves something really epic, you know, and to have given us just a carousel. Like, she's never had an attraction.
Yeah, I don't need teacups. I'm okay. We already have those. Think of something more innovative, okay?
Give her something really grand.
Yeah.
You know, like, I don't know. She deserves something spectacular, though, for sure. Well, it's disappointing, I think, to have ended this way, the Epcot reimagination. Like I said, nice to have things new. As was previously said here, it's nice to have things that are I guess options for flex space and being able to do stuff as events shift and change throughout the year. But we're in a place right now where, I guess all of that money and all of that time, especially for how often we were routed around construction walls for years, to just sort of think we built a box and some AstroTurf and we put some plants in with some lighting. 5 years.
Yeah. I mean, I understand COVID was an issue, that slowed things down, but at the same time, we've seen Universal complete, entire rides in less than a year, and
And a universe.
And a universe.
I mean, there's a whole epic. Oh my gosh! Let's change the show plans and just talk about the monsters. I'm so excited for Dark Universe. It's going to be so good. Let's just keep talking about that.
Bring it on. Bring on all of the changes. Bring on all the competition.
Exactly. That's what people are. People are so worked up on Twitter and everything, and about like people hating on each other. And I'm just like, it's all good for everybody. Like everybody needs to relax. This is good stuff. This is what was happening before COVID. It was the best time to be a theme park fan, because they were racing and they were both just competing like nonstop. Then things really slowed down. It took a while. We're finally getting off the ground again, but it's going to be good. I'm excited.
Hear, hear.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, if you're heading out to visit Epcot anytime soon, Walt Disney World anytime soon, yes, it is definitely something to see. We don't want to make it seem like, don't even stop by.
Living with the land. That's what's up.
There's always the nostalgia pieces and the history that brings Epcot to life that keeps it very special. A lot of nice new things to take a look at while you're there. I guess not necessarily any real major draw, though, that came out of this process, unfortunately. We should have learned our lesson after all the concept art from Galaxy's Edge didn't come to pass. And now here we are all these years later with Epcot's concept art not really coming to pass either. But you let us know. Are you excited to visit Epcot now? Is there one thing you'd go out of your way for? Drop it down in the comments for us.